Welcome back to M.O.R.T.E.M. Today's case is one of the most heartbreaking stories we have ever covered. A child placed into what should have been a safe and loving home, and two adults trusted to protect him. Instead, what happened behind closed doors led to one of the most disturbing child murder investigations in modern British history. This is the story of Preston Davey. Born 4 weeks prematurely, he arrived while his biological mother, Sarah Davey, was serving a prison sentence. Just 5 days after birth, Preston entered foster care. Despite his difficult start, people who cared for him described a happy child. Preston lived with experienced foster parents Sandra and Paul Cooper. The couple later described him as joyful, affectionate, and full of life. Videos showed him smiling, laughing, and interacting normally with those around him. A couple from Staining near Blackpool were selected as his future parents. One was Jamie Varley, a respected secondary school teacher and head of year. The other was his partner, John McGowan Fazakerley. To outside observers, the placement appeared ideal. The adoption process moved forward. What nobody knew was that his life was about to enter its most dangerous chapter. Court proceedings later revealed that during the months Preston lived in their home, he suffered repeated mistreatment. Preston was routinely physically assaulted, sexually abused, psychologically harmed, and subjected to cruelty. Approximately 40 separate injuries was documented. Preston came into contact with numerous professionals during this period. Doctors examined him. Nurses saw him. Social workers visited. Hospital staff treated him. Yet the abuse continued. In one incident, Preston was taken to hospital with a broken arm. Explanations provided by his caregivers were accepted. The child was returned home. As weeks passed, Preston's condition continued to deteriorate. Then came July 27, 2023. That morning, the couple arrived at hospital carrying an unresponsive Preston. Medical staff immediately began emergency treatment. For 50 minutes, doctors fought to save him. Nothing worked. Preston Davey was pronounced dead. At first, explanations were offered suggesting a tragic accident. Varley claimed he had briefly left Preston unattended during bath time before returning to find him submerged. But investigators quickly found serious problems with that account. Medical evidence did not support drowning. Preston's hair was dry. His nappy remained in place. There was no indication he had swallowed significant amounts of water. The explanation began to collapse. A pathologist later concluded the cause of death was acute upper airway obstruction. In simple terms, Preston had been unable to breathe. Experts testified that the evidence pointed towards smothering or an object being forced into his mouth. The death was no accident. As detectives dug deeper, they uncovered disturbing digital evidence from Varley's phone. The material became central to the prosecution's case. Investigators concluded the evidence demonstrated physical, psychological, and sexual abuse. The case rapidly expanded beyond a suspicious death investigation. It became a murder inquiry. Police assembled medical records. Eventually, charges were filed. The case proceeded to trial at Preston Crown Court. The proceedings lasted 8 weeks. Jurors heard extensive evidence from medical experts and witnesses. The prosecution argued that Preston had effectively been treated as a possession rather than a child, a vulnerable infant placed in the care of adults who systematically failed him. The court also heard many professionals had interacted with Preston before his death. Why were warning signs missed? The Children's Commissioner for England later described the case as a massive safeguarding failure. Preston's biological mother expressed profound grief. His foster parents also delivered emotional victim impact statements. They remembered the smiling little boy they had cared for during the first months of his life. When the verdict finally arrived, The jury found Jamie Varley guilty of sexually abusing and murdering Preston. The judge imposed one of the most severe punishments available under British law: a whole life order. Varley will never be released. He will spend the rest of his life in prison. John McGowan Fazakerley was convicted of sexual abuse, child cruelty, and allowing the death of a child. He received a 25-year prison sentence. Detectives called Varley evil, monstrous, and completely remorseless. The case also triggered renewed examination of adoption procedures and safeguarding systems. An independent review was launched to determine whether agencies responsible for Preston's welfare missed opportunities to intervene. But one fact is undeniable: a little boy survived an incredibly difficult start to life. He entered a home everyone believed was safe. And there, the people entrusted with protecting him became the greatest danger he would ever face. M.O.R.T.E.M breakdown. Motive. Evidence presented at trial suggested prolonged abuse and control rather than any financial or practical gain. The exact psychological motive remains deeply disturbing and difficult to fully explain. 9 out of 10. Operations. The abuse occurred over an extended period and continued despite contact with multiple agencies and professionals. 8 out of 10. Reach. The case triggered national outrage across the United Kingdom and prompted scrutiny of safeguarding and adoption systems. 8 out of 10. Terror impact. The idea that a child could pass through numerous professional checks without intervention made this case especially alarming to the public. 10 out of 10. Execution style. This was not a spontaneous crime. Evidence suggested a prolonged pattern of abuse that escalated over time before ending in murder. 10 out of 10. Mindset. The court heard evidence indicating repeated cruelty toward an extremely vulnerable victim who was entirely dependent on adults for protection. 10 out of 10. Preston's story is now a reminder that safeguarding is not just paperwork. Sometimes a child's life depends on somebody asking one more question. Remember to always stay aware and stay informed.